Okay, so number 7 on the test was this thing about Billy Bob with crackers. Right, which was basically, if you try to do sine inverse of 191, everything ends up all foobarred, right? Yes? This thing kicks an error at you. Some of you were smart enough to actually just try this in your calculator, like you didn't believe me, which was totally fine. And what you get is maybe a more enlightening error on some of the calculators. You get this instead. What does this clue you in about? Yeah, it's not in the domain. There's like a domain problem, right? Okay, what's the domain thing going on here? Where's the function? What's the function that this is based on? Sine, right? So sine does something like this. It takes stuff to other stuff. And this stuff over here is like angles, right? And this thing over here is, so this is the sine function, not the sine inverse function. Where does it take angles? Yeah, ratios of side lengths. In a triangle, right? Specifically a right triangle. You guys good with that? So, sine inverse is supposed to do this, yeah? It's supposed to un-this. So why is it having problems un-thising?
Because there's multiple values for this.
Okay, yeah, so there's some, sine inverse has some troubles anyway, right? Because it really can't take these back to all the angles because that would be a problem with functionness. Because this thing fails the horizontal line test. So I got some of that. The problem here is that the issue is on this side. It's on the domain of sine inverse that's the issue. It's not over here where the horizontal line test problem is happening. So why can't I feed 191 into this thing? Yeah, good. So you might think about this as 191 over 1, right? And this thing's asking the question, hey man, what's this angle here when the ratio between the opposite and the hypotenuse is 191 over 1? You guys see that? That's friggin' bonks, man. This is not a triangle. Right? Even though I drew it like a triangle and labeled it like a triangle, what does it really look like? It really looks like this, right? This side of length 1 is just like dangling off in the air. You guys see that? So this thing is a bad ratio. Really, sine inverse doesn't know how to deal with any ratios that are bigger than 1 in absolute value. You guys see that? So that's another way you could flip this around. So the other thought is you could say, okay, over here is all of R. Over here is -1 to 1. This is the sine function. The sine inverse is supposed to back that out. So the domain of the sine inverse function is this, -1 to 1, close. And 191 isn't in there. That's another thought. You guys cool with this? Maybe?